Hi there. Today we are making fresh tomato pasta. This is the recipe you pull out when it's just too hot outside and you don't really want to be cooking. We've just gone through a bit of a heat wave here in BC. The whole sort of West Coast has. And it's been crazy hot. That's died down a little, but it's still pretty warm. So it's a good time to be making this. If you have tomatoes from your garden, all the better. Our tomatoes aren't...
Basil from your garden?
Yes, our tomatoes aren't ready yet, but our basil is. So this is basil from us. So you need fresh basil, you need fresh tomatoes. They can be cherry tomatoes, they can be big tomatoes cut into chunks. It really, really doesn't matter. Really simple recipe, tasty, and pretty quick. But the one thing is you do need to start at least minimum of an hour before you want to eat, and 2 or 3 hours is probably even better than that.
Yeah. It's so easy.
So we're going to start with, well, pretty much showing you what's in it. So we've got the tomatoes, we've got basil, fresh basil, we've got some salt. Rob wanted to put more in. I will put down a couple of measurements down there so you can see that there's a sliding scale there, right? Then there is, this is where you bring out your really good olive oil. So this is a shout out to Kathy, Rob's sister, who has a friend in Greece, I believe, who has his own olive oil farm. And this stuff is so good. So we're really fortunate sometimes to get some of that crop. And this is the stuff that we don't cook with, meaning we don't heat it. This is what you drizzle on salads or carpaccio or whatever.
Smear all over yourself or whatever you want to do.
Or dip your bread in, right? And then there's chopped garlic. Now this is a fair amount. This is about 3 cloves of garlic here, chopped up. That might be too much for you if you're not like a major garlic lover kind of person like we are. If raw garlic, it is pretty essential to the taste of the dish. That being said, if raw garlic is your nemesis and it keeps like coming back on you and causes you problems, you could probably do roasted garlic here, but that defeats the purpose of not turning on the oven. So you do you know, we've sometimes had this when it wasn't hot outside, so you totally could roast a whole head of a bulb of garlic and then squeeze it out and mix that in, and it would be super tasty. It just wouldn't be the same dish.
Well, this cures our vampire problem in the neighborhood too.
Yeah, and then we've got some freshly ground black pepper, and later on when we cook up the pasta, we will also have some parmesan, some reggiano, because that just takes it up to that next level. So all we're doing here right now is we're putting the tomatoes that have just been chopped, and you can see we have a mixture there of grape tomatoes and big tomatoes that have been chopped into chunks. We've got the basil that we picked from our garden, and I didn't even take off stems here. I just roughly chopped it. Then we've got the garlic, and that goes.
That is a ton of garlic.
There's the olive oil, and I'm also putting a sliding scale of olive oil there. Rob really likes it. With this much, I can see that some people would probably balk at putting a 1/4 cup of olive oil into a recipe that's probably just feeding 2 people. But hey, you could go for less.
It's really no more than if you do like a garlic and olive oil sauce with pasta.
It depends how you make it, doesn't it?
That's true.
Okay, then I'm going to put a whole bunch of black pepper in here.
More the better.
Because we like that. And I'm going to put the salt in there.
And that's kosher salt.
It's either kosher salt or sea salt that is, you know, not, no additives.
Right.
Okay, you don't need iodine, you don't need anything like that in here. And the salt is going to draw some of the juices out of the tomato that mixes with the juices from, or the olive oil and the salt and the pepper and the garlic, and all of that blushes into this wonderful no-cook sauce.
It's a process called maceration.
Maceration, I think.
Everyone does it.
No, I think maceration requires sugar.
You might be right. You might be right.
Salt is like an osmosis thing, right?
Don't mind me.
Someone's at the door. You know what?
You're
That's
done.
Our grocery delivery. We'll be back. So that was a grocery delivery that we needed to deal with. It's lots of moving parts today. So I just wanted to pop back in and say, there you go. It's all mixed up. Doesn't that look gorgeous? And it smells amazing if you like tomatoes, basil, and garlic. So what we're going to do is we're just going to leave this on the counter. You don't want to refrigerate it, partly because we don't refrigerate tomatoes, and also because when it does come to be dinner time and we boil up our pasta, we don't want to be mixing it with something cold. We want to be mixing it with something room temperature, because this sauce is not going to be heated at all, other than the heat from the pasta.
Plus you just stir it every half an hour to...
Yeah, just, you know, leave it on the counter, and you can put some kind of lid over it so flies don't get in there, put a plate on top, something like that. Every now and then give it a stir to help it do its blushing thing. We're gonna come back before dinner. We're gonna boil some water for pasta, and we're going to boil up our pasta, and we'll show you what happens then. So we're back, and the tomatoes and stuff have been blushing for a few hours here, and we've got the pasta boiling, and we're almost there on the pasta being ready to be pulled out. What I'm gonna start by doing is taking some pasta water. It's always good to have a bit of that off on the side, just in case you need it to loosen up your sauce. It's just a good habit to get into. And 34, we're almost there. And what we're gonna do is we're going to pull the pasta out, put it in a pre-warmed bowl, because the heat of your pasta depends really on the heat staying from coming out of here, because of course the sauce is not hot in any way. It's just room temperature. So there we go. I'm gonna turn that off.
Do you want the spider?
No, I think this is good. I just want to double check this. Okay. Very close, not quite there. That's okay. So we were talking earlier about this dish is vegan if you don't add the cheese. And then Rob said, yeah, but the pasta has egg in it. And I thought, wait a minute, when we make pasta, yes it does. But how come I haven't been hearing about this being an issue? You know, do all vegans eat rice pasta? So I did the Google thing. And it turns out that the majority of dried pastas are egg-free. So the majority of dried pastas are unintentionally vegan. But if you're getting fresh pasta, you know, the kind that you get in the grocery store that's in the fridge, that's more likely. That is going to have eggs in it. That's what I'm saying as I'm tripping over my tongue. Okay, so I think we're good here now. I just needed that little extra. So I am going to pull the pasta out here.
So that little bit of pasta water that comes with is actually a benefit in this case.
In this case it is. There are times where it could dilute your sauce more than you want it to, but in this case it actually, having that little bit, that's why I'm not putting this over a strainer and making sure that I get every little bit out, because it's not that important. You didn't see that, right?
No, no. Well, what your guests don't see.
Oh yes, that's Rob's only child. Okay, so there we go. We've got the pasta. In goes the sauce that we made earlier.
That's beautiful. Look at that.
And you cannot even imagine. Oh, nice. Oil all over me. That's okay.
That sounds good to me, strangely.
I'm not going anywhere. So just give it a toss to make sure that that beautiful flavored oil coats everything. Mm-hmm. And then, throwing that back in there, if you're not vegan, I grated a little bit of reggiano here. That's parmesan to some of you, but not the stuff that comes in the green can. Please,
No,
please,
that's
please.
evil,
The real
evil.
stuff. And just give that a mix. And then you have to be ready to go. Your mise en place, which means everything in its place,
that's beautiful.
is ready to go, because we are eating now. So hey, make yourself some pasta. This is great even on a hot day. See you later.